And that's why I would point out, for example, a contract like New Earth. That could probably pay for more than half of those one-time positions next year without having to have a budget deficit. And I feel that we could cover those services that New Earth gives to students now. Mr. Guerrero asked for a discussion from the board about the New Earth contract. And I'm hoping we're going to get that. And I know at least Mr. Isidore and I believe Ms. Loretto also agreed that we should have that discussion. And that discussion needs to happen. What are you doing with the future of that contract? You heard comments from staff and from the public. And I will say, Dr. Kent, I did not appreciate saying to New Earth, apologizing for disparaging comments made to them. That's hurtful to our staff because we felt our comments were not disparaging. We felt our comments were informed. We've done the research. We've done the homework. And we did not appreciate that kind of comment. And I'm sure the community didn't either, but I only speak on behalf of the CCFT members. I finally want to address an email that was sent to myself, Ms. Hamme, and Mr. Tran by Dr. Kent. This was discussed at my executive board meeting of our CCFT union, and my executive board formally asked me to conclude this in my public comments. On May 25th, Dr. Kent sent an email in regard to her comments made at a previous night's board meeting. Of course, we remember that was that marathon 12-hour board meeting. Dr. Kent had sent us a copy of the FPCC local one-year ban and said, quote, please ensure we are not violating the Associated Political Reform Act. That's a quote from the email. I replied back that I needed more context as the law I felt was very vaguely written. And I asked Dr. Kent if she felt that we could be potentially violating the law because I had no context other than please ensure that we are complying with this law. We were told to take what she said literally and to ensure that we are not violating this law. She also invited all negotiating teams to consider the one-year ban to make sure that we are in compliance. After forwarding the email chain to the California Federation of Teachers, they felt that this request was vague and lacked specifics. How could we investigate if we are violating the law when we have no context? CFT described the request as sloppy and ridiculous, especially in light of what we had been through this past year. They also said that the law applied to former elected officials or high-level city district management and saw nothing in the law that applied to employee unions. The purpose of the law was to make sure that former officials who became lobbyists and did not lobby their previous employers or use their position to make money. CFT found also the statement about a sitting board member suggesting how unions form bargaining teams by suggesting we participate in a one-year ban as highly inappropriate and could potentially be a violation of both PERB and NLRB rules around the suggestion of how unions run their business. CFT also stated that it's actually the responsibility of the former elected official or manager to make sure they are in compliance, not the other way around. I again asked Dr. Kent what specifically prompted her initial email, and she replied that comments made by a member of ACE at a previous board meeting is what prompted the email request. I then asked, why was this sent to CCFT if it was a member of ACE? We do not represent members of ACE. We are different national organizations. They are NEA, they are CTA, we are AFT, CFT, and the AFL-CIO. We have nothing to do with those unions. Sure, we agree on everything, but we have nothing to do. So if this was about a member of ACE, why was it sent to us? I was told that the questions, all my questions were answered, and that anything else was based on assumptions made by me. I call on Dr. Kent to make a formal apology to the members and leadership of CCFT and ACE. Dr. Kent should also refrain from discussing union business or how we operate unless she is hired by the district and joins one of our bargaining units. Who the union chooses for their teams, executive boards, site reps, etc., are 100% a union issue decided by our elected leaders and members. As for assumptions, they will be made when information is not clearly given and there is a lack of trust. Assumptions, by the way, are not always wrong. There are lots of times when people's assumptions are 100% correct. We will not stand for any interruption or any interpretation by board members and how we run our locals, how we do business, and remind people that those rights are guaranteed protections by both the Public Employee Relations Board and the National Labor Relations Act. We will expect your apology as soon as possible. Thank you.
I want to talk a little bit about Dr. Kent's emails. When she first read out this law, or whatever it's referred to as, I wasn't sure exactly why she was reading it out. It was followed by an email to Mr. Long and myself. We immediately contacted our parent organizations to find out if we were in violation of this particular law. We were assured that we weren't. Mr. Long pointed out that he received the email, but it actually shouldn't have been sent to him at all because apparently Dr. Kent had some concerns about one of my new members who happens to be a former board member, and that is Summer McBride. Well, as Ray pointed out, this law has nothing to do with union membership and union advocacy. And so I'm not sure why the district or Dr. Kent would have been concerned about this. But as the president of ACE, I have a right to have anybody that joins my union serve on a negotiating team, on partnership, on any committee, and they certainly have the right to speak out at board meetings to let the board know and members of the audience what their feelings are about things that are being discussed in the room. So I hope that between my comments and Ray's comments, Dr. Kent is assured that there is nothing that is happening now with Mrs. McBride that she needs to worry about, and that we certainly will remain in compliance and are doing nothing to interfere with CCUSD business.
You're welcome.